Sydney, a sprawling metropolis renowned for its stunning harbour, vibrant multiculturalism and iconic landmarks, is also a city with a dark underbelly. Among the challenges facing this cosmopolitan city is the enduring threat of organised crime, particularly from Asian organised crime syndicates. These groups have evolved into highly sophisticated operations, exploiting global trade networks, technological advancements, and Australia's diverse communities to further their illicit activities. From drug trafficking to money laundering, their reach is both extensive and deeply entrenched. In recent years, law enforcement agencies in New South Wales have significantly intensified their efforts to combat Asian organised crime gangs, leading to notable successes. This video delves into the history of Asian organised crime in Australia and details the pivotal police operations and arrests of 2024, made possible by the creation of Task Force Lupin. Asian organised crime in Australia is not a recent phenomenon. Its roots can be traced back to the waves of immigration that followed the Vietnam War in the 1970s and 1980s. Among the most infamous early groups was the 5T gang, which arose in Cabramatta, an area that became home to a significant Vietnamese community. Composed of young refugees and immigrants, many of whom were grappling with trauma, displacement, and limited opportunities, the 5T gang capitalised on these vulnerabilities to recruit members. The 5T gang's activities ranged from petty theft and standover tactics to heroin trafficking and violent crime. By the 1990s, Cabramatta had gained the grim nickname Australia's heroin capital, with the 5T at the heart of this epidemic. The gang's notoriety peaked with the murder of New South Wales MP John Newman in 1994, a politically motivated assassination linked to their operations. The deaths of key leaders like Tri Min Tran and Madonna Van Roelay eventually led to the gang's decline, but their legacy endured. As the 5T gang faded, a new wave of Asian organised crime syndicates emerged. These groups displayed a higher level of sophistication and were often connected to international networks. With the rise of globalisation and technological advancements, these syndicates diversified their criminal enterprises, making them even more challenging to dismantle. If you want to know more about the rise of 5T and their chokehold on Sydney's underworld, make sure you check out my video about them after this. The violent nature of Asian organised crime became alarmingly evident in June 2024 when a series of home invasions rocked Sydney. These attacks, believed to be linked to rivalries and disputes within Asian crime syndicates operating in the region, were characterised by their brutality and strategic precision, leaving residents uneasy and underscoring the urgent need for a concerted crackdown on Asian organised crime syndicates. On the evening of June 3rd, 2024, residents of Guildford West were shaken by a shooting that targeted a home on Charles Street. At approximately 9:20 PM, a group of men fired shots into the house, though fortunately no one was injured in the attack. Just a week later, the early hours of June 11th, 2024 brought even more shocking violence when a 25-year-old man was shot in the leg during a home invasion at a property on Mary Wade Place, Carnes Hill. At around 12:45 AM, a group of up to 8 men, all wearing face coverings, stormed the home. The victim, who had been sleeping along with his girlfriend, mother, and another female relative, confronted the attackers. After shooting him in the leg, the assailants poured petrol throughout the house and on the front door, threatening to set it alight. In a final act of intimidation before fleeing, the attackers fired a shotgun at the victim's car parked in the driveway, leaving significant damage. Though the perpetrators fled the scene, leaving the home badly damaged, the incident raised alarm for local law enforcement, and an investigation quickly ensued. In the wake of the June home invasions, the New South Wales police force launched Task Force Lupin in July 2024. The task force, composed of 39 detectives from various squads, focused on addressing escalating violence and crime linked to organised crime networks from Asia. Detectives working under Task Force Lupin quickly realised that the same groups responsible for these home invasions were deeply involved in drug trafficking, violent crime and other illicit activities. The syndicates sought to control the supply and manufacture of methamphetamine, which drove the escalating violence in southwest Sydney. The work of Task Force Lupin culminated in a series of high-profile raids, resulting in the arrests of several prominent figures within Sydney's Asian organised crime syndicates. These arrests marked a turning point in the fight against organised crime, striking at the core of these networks. In September 2024, during a raid in Sydney's west, Bay Thang Pung, Bak Ngi Le Chin Phuoc Tran, Tho Hung Tran and Ngok Tam Vu were arrested by Australian Border Force officers as part of an investigation into the importation of pseudoephedrine, a precursor for methamphetamine production. The men were allegedly part of an organised crime syndicate involved in importing drugs into Australia. The ABF officers carried out raids on a warehouse and several homes in the area, seizing significant amounts of precursor chemicals and other items related to the potential establishment of a clandestine drug laboratory. A few days later, a Vietnamese man was stopped at Melbourne International Airport as he arrived, allegedly intending to facilitate the pickup and delivery of drug consignments. His visa was immediately cancelled, and he was sent back to Vietnam. The 5 men were charged with importing a commercial quantity of a border-controlled precursor and supporting a criminal organisation. Around noon on Thursday, August 1st, 2024, in Bankstown, Task Force Lupin arrested Kenny Ho, a 25-year-old allegedly involved in the home invasions of June 2024. Ho, who had been allegedly using encrypted messaging apps to coordinate with other criminals, was charged with 11 offences, including discharging a firearm to cause grievous bodily harm and firing a firearm to injure a person in connection with the Guildford West drive-by shooting and the violent Carnes Hill home invasion. In a meticulously planned dawn raid in Liverpool on December 19th, 2024, Task Force Lupin arrested Tan Tung John Le, a 37-year-old man identified as a senior member of an Asian organised crime syndicate involved in drug trafficking and money laundering. His arrest followed months of surveillance, during which police uncovered evidence of his role in smuggling drugs and managing the syndicate's financial operations. Thang Tung John Lee faces 19 charges, including those related to the commercial supply of drugs and firearm possession, and was refused bail at Parramatta Local Court on December 20th. In its first 6 months since its creation, Task Force Lupin has achieved significant results in targeting organised crime in southwest Sydney. Task Force Lupin charged 33 individuals with various offences, primarily related to drug supply and violent crimes. The task force executed over 35 search warrants, leading to the discovery of 3 clandestine methamphetamine laboratories in Canley Vale, Fairfield and Mullion, more than $10 million worth of prohibited drugs, almost $600,000 in cash, 7 firearms, and over 20 dedicated encrypted criminal communication devices. Additionally, Task Force Lupin targeted younger gang members involved in methamphetamine production and drug dealing, with the investigation aiming to prevent a new generation of Vietnamese crime gangs from gaining a stronghold in Sydney, similar to the notorious 5T gang from the 1990s. The task force's swift action prevented these emerging gangs from growing in power and potentially escalating violence across the city. The recent arrests and police actions against Asian organised crime gangs in Sydney represent a significant step forward in the battle against these sophisticated syndicates. The work of Task Force Lupin and other specialised units has disrupted major criminal networks, reduced their influence, and sent a powerful message to those who would follow in their footsteps. However, the fight is far from over. As these groups continue to adapt and evolve, law enforcement agencies must remain vigilant, innovative and collaborative. The ongoing operations of Task Force Lupin and its partners will play a crucial role in safeguarding Sydney's communities and dismantling the entrenched networks of Asian organised crime. In this relentless fight, every arrest and seizure brings the city one step closer to a safer and more secure future. As always, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you want more stories from the Australian underworld, make sure you subscribe and drop this video a like. It really helps me out and helps the channel grow. Till next time, take care.